And we're live again. Grand Rising, beautiful, melanated, original, whatever you respectfully call yourself, people. This is part two of our Rooted and Booted online event where we bring in solutions and bring in all our people together for one empire. So we're ready, and go ahead, Queen Angie.
All right, thank you so much. We were sabotaged, but we were finishing up our conversation with farming, right? And so again, please like and share. And please stay connected with us at the United Empires of Akibaline.com. Okay, so I have a very special guest that I want to share with you all. And give me just a second. Y'all, they're messing with us because I have again lost my screen to share with you all. So while I'm looking for this screen, I am going to introduce my best friend since third grade, Victoria, the Queen Victoria Nichols. She is, we're going to be tapping in as soon as I can find this darn screen. We're going to be tapping into healthcare and mental health. So I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself and share with you all what she does, who she is, and we're going to dive right back into this. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Queen.
Thank you so
Please
much.
share.
Thank you for the beautiful introduction. Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you for having me, welcoming me to your community and to your broadcast. I'm very delighted to be here. When my best friend told me about mental health, I was all ears, like, huh? What? Got? I'm absolutely all about mental health. I am a therapist intern for marriage and family therapy. I'm a holistic therapist. I am certified in meditation and breath work. I focus on providing balance in various forms. I work with youth on a regular basis with some expressive therapy, so like art therapy, play therapy, writing, things like that. I incorporate that type of thing. I'm a mentor, I'm an advocate, whatever is necessary for the youth to be successful in their independence is what I am. So I have a company called Akili Holistic Health and Wellness that provides balance. And then I have a nonprofit that is providing various therapeutics, life skills training, and education to our community, disadvantaged youth coming out of the foster care system, those who are with collaborative care, things like that. I study neurobiology because I am in the aspect of brain regarding African Americans and how we are programmed, or how our brains were programmed due to the lack of interpersonal relationships. So that was my um, talking piece today to kind of discuss about African Americans versus the world, right? Because we were just at one of the hugest disservices to us, and because of it, affected our learning, affected our brains, and things like that. So definitely something for me once I tapped in to being able to walk in that direction to learn and understand all of the things that come along with the mental health and the aspect of the African American community. So I do other things, but this is the important part.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I think we've lost one of our. Oh, there you are, Mr. P. Okay, I see you at the bottom. Okay, so you all know I am a nurse. That is my passion. So we are going to be talking about healthcare and then mental health. And I know Queen Vicky has got some things to do. She is actually here with us in between clients. So I am going to go backwards, and I want her to first share. I want us to tackle conversations and solutions as we've been doing, right, with mental health. And she's touched on a lot of this stuff so far. But what are some of the barriers that hinder our community from seeking a good place of mental balance and health? I want us to think about how we can create safe spaces to help to have conversations within our communities regarding mental health and well-being. And then how can we establish tangible mental health resources and centers within our neighborhoods and communities? Now, you just heard Vicky talk about what she's doing here in Indianapolis. Mind Games he's got stuff going down in Georgia. Pablo X has got stuff going on in Los Angeles. We all have stuff going on all over the place. So how can we bridge the gaps across the country where we can tackle mental health and really focus on mental well-being? I know we put the stigmas out for mental health and mental illness, but how can we, instead of looking at mental illness, how can we really focus on what mental health looks like and how we can achieve that and obtain that for our people?
Yeah. Thank you for those questions and giving me the opportunity to respond with that. First, we need to make it attractive. First and foremost, therapy needs to be attractive. Because of the stigma, it's not attractive. A lot of African Americans feel that they are going to be interrogated, or if they share some of the things that are going on personally, that it's going to count against them. And that's really what happens in America. We say, man, my children are getting on my nerves. They're taking them because we can't manage our children. Or, I whoop my child because in my culture, that's okay, right? To whoop our children or whatnot. Or in my household, I might not say culturally, but I was an 80s baby. Whoopings were something that happened for us. So we need to make therapy attractive and understand really what it is, which is a form of expression, just talking. So I think that's the first thing. We need to make that attractive, and then we need to educate on what is involved in therapy. There's so many different levels of so many different levels in mental health that I don't think there is a very clear understanding. So that has to be made clear of who everyone is. And I think me and Angelina was talking about this, being confused. Who is a therapist today? I feel like there's so many different type of therapists when they're really, the therapist. But you have the social worker, you have the counselor, you have the psychiatrist, you have the psychologist, you have the nurse, you have the nurse practitioner, you have the medical assistant. You have all of these different people, but who's really the one that's supposed to be helping me? What is the true process? So I think we need to get a better understanding of what that is. What is the process to mental health? What is the process to getting the help that I actually need? And that means, are we looking at this clinically? Are we looking at it non-clinically? Because I can say that I'm depressed and go to my PCP, what is it called? PC, primary care doctor, and they can give me prescription. So we have a lot of misdiagnosis. We have a lot of people on medication for things that they aren't even supposed to be on. We have in my field, we have so many diagnoses that could be confused with another. So if you're not trained to be able to decipher between those two, I find it very disturbing that there are people out there giving people diagnosis, and individuals are walking around moving in these diagnoses, and that's why there's no success in their healing, because they're not being managed properly, if that's the word, right? Managed or supported or advocated for. That's another thing. We need more advocates. We need more people on the ground educating and showing examples. Wellness retreats. I'm doing one. All things wellness is what I'm calling it. Just to show that meditation is not devil worshiping. It's a place of healing. It's a place of concentrated peace. And that's what we need to be able to give out to our communities, and just better understandings. We would go along further if we had clarity.
I'm glad you said that. And my
you.
husband is listening, because we really wanted to touch on the mental health. If everybody knows or seen it, the tragedy that came in our family. We have been dealing with mental health with my brother-in-law, and just a month ago he ended up unaliving my mother-in-law brutally. And we're in the midst of just dealing with that and the results of it. So the mental health is really needed. So we would really like to know a lot what you can do with people who are dealing with people with mental health and the people who have the mental health itself.
Absolutely. This is why I went into the field I went into, which is marriage and family therapy, because I look at diagnosis as a systematic whole. When your uncle was diagnosed, it didn't just affect your uncle. I'm sorry, who was that again? Your uncle, brother-in-law?
Brother-in-law.
It was my brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law.
And I mean, he was not getting the help. They said he was okay. So you know how it works.
Yes. So your brother-in-law, when he was affected, y'all were affected and everybody else was affected. So how do I deal with someone of this caliber now? Just like when you have cancer, someone with cancer, how does I now go from skipping in the park with this individual to now watching them wither away and take care of them? That's also hard for me to do. And that's never really taken into account in our community. Okay, in our community, because there's resources out there when other communities have these issues, they have focal points for things. It's our community.
Please speak on it.
That
People don't understand that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our community, I know this is the platform. I know I don't have the whole time to go into this soapbox, but 100%, we are so overlooked. We are the most disadvantaged group of culture that literally have to fight for every single thing that we want. Need. Let's go back. Erase want. Need. Because we need specifics. We need things in our community for it to gel as well, for us to stop perpetuating the problematic issues that come from 400 years ago, or whatever the correct date is now, right? But those things have come into play and it's still systematically oppressing us, and because of that we are struggling. That's why you see us on the streets. That's why we don't have access to the resources, because I mean, just because of who we are with color affects those things. So there's so many different branches, right, that stops us from being successful or being great like we need to be. But when one person in the unit is affected, the entire system is affected, and we absolutely need to look at that and stop just individualizing the problem. It's a problem for the whole. So I'm sorry you all are going through that, and you let me know where you're located and I can see what I can do as far as mending those bridges for you.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, because a lot of us, and that's why we wanted to really do a special segment on this, because it's not real until it hits your door. And I looked at being in the city and being in different people. You always laughed at that crazy black person.
Oh yeah.
Everybody had the crazy black person in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And nobody knows. I always take my kids off. I drove by and I see people homeless. I see people out there walking. I tell my kids they was in school at one point. What happened from the time that they were normal to where they got? How did they end up here where it's okay to do the things you do? But I appreciate you for that.
What I say is that everybody has a story.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story. And I'll be more specific. Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't born to eat brains. He wasn't. Don't get mad at that man. He wasn't born that way. He was made into that. His circumstances created that. All the dynamics, all his stars aligned, right? Whatever that was, his DNA, his genetics, his environment, the people included in his environment. His mother left him with his father, who left him also. When you leave a mind that's fragile to themselves to come up with the conclusions, who's there to combat them? Who's there to correct them? Who's there to help him see the real? There was nobody. So he created his reality. And unfortunately, in his reality, he ate people. But he wasn't born that way. The pedophile wasn't born the pedophile.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is it genetic?
Well, what I would say is, for Jeffrey Dahmer, no.
For anybody, pretty much.
No, I think there's a formula, okay, that creates it. In my opinion, there's some theorists out there to say that it's all genetics. There's some out there that says it's nothing but the environment. Me, I say it's both. You can't have one without the other, in my opinion. You just can't. So because you can have a brain. Our brains are awesome. First of all, we don't even know the capacity of it. We just know a little bit. So just imagine what it can do, especially when you start learning how to use both of your hemispheres and not just one, right? So, and we have that ability to do that. But we're tainted as we grow up with all of these things, right? Don't do this, don't do that, stop this. So now we're all over. We can't be great. If you notice, kids are so pure because they don't have all those extras to stop them from being imaginary, to be explosive in thinking, be creative, they create, like kids can be inventors because they can create stuff, but we stop them. We don't explain them. I really hate it when I hear, oh, because I said so. Don't do that to that child. Please explain it, because you're stopping their growth. You're preventing them from being great or having the understanding, or you're preventing it from becoming a behavior, because that's what it'll move to. And then you're mad and whooping the kid. Why are you whooping the kid with something that you didn't do? Right? So all of those things inspire people, because if I'm around, if I'm dropped in a forest and raised by wolves, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna run all food. I'm gonna eat raw meat. I'm gonna do what I'm seeing. So if I grew up in poverty and there's thievery all around me, violence all around me,
and drugs, drugs is a key factor
all around me, all of these bad influences all around me, it's a melting pot for destruction.
Can I ask you a quick question as far as the systematic part of it? We've been tasked, or our coalition here in Los Angeles started our mental health campaign today, actually. So there's an event going on right now.
Awesome.
The question I have is, I'll just use myself as a quick example. So I've come out of the street life. I've been shot at, stabbed, all kinds of stuff like that. And there's kind of like it's an issue trying to get to trust other Black men to try to build something together with them. So the problem that we've come across in our research is that only 2% of clinical psychologists are Black, and of that 2%, somebody's a Sambo and somebody is on code. So what would you recommend for us to weed that out and try to build something sustainable that we can go to where we don't have to worry about, hey, if I go in here, they're going to take my kids. Hey, if I go in here, they're going to try to do this or that.
Yeah. Go get your mentors. Go get those people in the streets that been the drug dealers before. Go get those ones that have been able to come from the streets, like you. Go get those ones like that, because those are the ones that have the ability to relate. Okay, that can show them. That's the one thing about me. Like in our state or anywhere, once they finish the system, they don't want nothing to do with the system anymore. Right? They done failed me. They done lied to me. I have no trust in them. I don't want. They come to me because I was in the system, because I was the one that was getting assaulted, because I was the one who witnessed the abuse, because I came from it. Right? So they attract to me for that reason. Go get your mentors. Go get your ones that are do that, and you keep that low percentage of clinical right in your back pocket. So when they're ready, and you get them to a point, you can send them right there. You make the relationships with those African American clinicians. So, and then the mentors do the work, the prepping, if you would, right? And send them over that way.
I think we're going to have you continue to come back and we're going to have a whole show on mental health, because we need it. This is why with all the subjects that we've talked about, finance, everything that we're trying to do as an empire, like Pablo Warrior, Mr. P, everyone says is in the mind first. If your mind is not right, you're going to be doing a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't think shopping and spending all your money, something is wrong with that.
It's absolutely about that. And you're right. You get control of the mind. You control the body. You control the body. You got your spirit. Everything connects. Right? What I will leave y'all with this, because I do got to get back. But what I will say that for the African American community, mindfulness is the key. Find you a holistic therapist. Find you a therapist that concentrates on meditation. that theorizes in complete balance and connectivity. Okay, those are the therapists that you want for the African American community. Okay, even the allied individuals, right? Those that stump for us, right? Or have the connections or have the access that we lack, right? Keep those connections strong. So when we lack with financial, we can go and venture out to those connections. Okay.
I love it. Thank
Well,
you
we
so
will
much,
do that.
Queen, for joining us. Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
you.
Thank you for your
That's important.
time. Thank you for your time.
You guys,
That was amazing.
yeah, if you, I haven't started my podcast only because my best friend will tell you I do like 40,000 things, but my podcast is coming. It's called Flip the Rug. So I specifically am speaking on psychological issues that occur in the African American community that we sweep under the rug. And I'm here to flip it and talk about those hard topics.
Well, we appreciate that. Y'all follow her. Is
Yeah,
slip
we'll
or flip? Is it
We'll
slip or
support you.
flip the rug? Oh, we love it. And we want to have you back. We're planning on doing this every month. So we will support you, and you have a lot that you can help us with. So we appreciate you, Queen.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for
y'all have a beautiful day.
I wish I could have came on for the whole entire time. Next time, I would definitely block that part out for you guys. Okay. I really enjoy sharing the energy because I feel that. And I wish you all the best in whatever endeavor you have.
We wish you the best too, Queen. You have a blessed
Queen.
day.
Yes, man.
Thank you, Queen.
Have a blessed day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
That was amazing.
Take care.
Yes. So we'll wait for Angie to bring up the next topic. And thank you all for tuning back in. This is part 2. So watch part 1 and then come over here to part 2 if you're watching the replay.
Exactly. Don't want to miss it.
And share. Follow us on the United Empire.
I think you're breaking up, Queen.
Yeah. Say it
She was
again.
saying like and share and follow us on the United Empires of Akibalon. You can go to each one of
Oh,
our
yeah, there was okay, yes. Go ahead. No,
like
go ahead. You do it, Quinn. You do it.
Oh, well, you can follow us on the United
Go
Empires
ahead,
of Akibalon.
Queen.
We're going to upload the video, but you can follow Clear as Conscious, Angie. She's going to have the replays on her platforms. Mind Games is going to have it on his platforms, or you can follow it on our platforms, or we would like you when you join the website, because we have a lot of people that sign up, but we want you to put in there, what can you bring to the table, or what would you like? What is your solution? Go ahead, Queen, with the next topic.
Yes. And don't forget the straight tracing it with the Queen. So yeah, you forgot yourself. Follow straight, no chasing with the Queen.
Well, I'm with
Okay,
all
so
y'all.
we are going to end this. And we're going to end this this first conversation that we've had, this first Rooted and Booted event, with political strategies for 2024. And yes, that does include the conversation about our money, that money bag, right? So we're going to talk about, I know we've been talking about different things, but this is the core. Some of this is going to be the core of what the United Empires of Akibalon is doing with the micronation. We're going to tell you what a micronation is, what an enclave is. We're going to look at super PACs. If you don't know what a super PAC is, we're going to look at diving into taking control over our political necessities by uniting. So this is a call to action to hold the government accountable. And we are going to tackle policing our own communities, which I'm excited to hear our men talk about, especially Pablo, policing our communities and taking control over the safety of our communities. So we'll dive into it. I had a lot of stuff on here, so I'm just going to flip through and just kind of show you guys some of the questions, and we can just, you guys can go with it. I guess, you know,
Can I say this for you? Can I say this for you? Even if you have the questions, since we're going to be back again, they can always, you know, we probably going to ask some of the same questions until we get some solutions. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead. Go ahead. So no, that's all. So if you want to tackle some of these, I want to talk about the micronation. Where's that at? Because I want you guys to know what a micronation is, and I love the way Queen Tina explains it.
I get
love the way
ready
you
to say
explain
it. I want to tell y'all what a
Go ahead.
micronation is. And I want y'all to go I tell everybody, do research on what a micronation is. You have so many groups, and this is why we came and we named this the United Empires of Al-Kibilon. The United Empires, as Mr. P said, an empire is a collective group of nations. A nation is a collective group of tribes. If you understand, a tribe is about 1 or 2 villages. So we working backwards. We have all these. You got FBA. I'm gonna just say that you got Black Agenda. You got the Black Panthers. You got all these groups. What our problem is, ADOS. We got so many different pieces, and there's no one pulling us together to make that one continent. So as a micro nation, we took it another level, and we are considered our self-proclaimed Black United Nations. You know how our people, our enemies, I can't say our enemies, but you see how other countries, they have the United Nations. They don't care if China, Russia, and all them, they go to war, but they sit down together at the table.
Yep.
And they discuss how they're going to rule the world. Not trying to be funny. That's basically what they're doing. So what our position is, we bring everyone to the table and discuss how we're going to claim our lives and ourselves back. A micronation is a self-proclaimed state. There is no rules. If we go back and stop looking at just Western history and understand how a state is made, there is no rules to claim your statehood. Right now, we're a digital nation. We are raising money so that we can buy an island and plots of land so that we can claim stake on that land as our own micronation. Kind of like the United States, they gave the Indians and the reservations their own micronation status. But as in law, international law, you don't have to have permission. If your country, of your government is a tyranny government to you, then you have every right to claim your own statehood. We see the United States do it all the time in the Middle East when they highlight you, the Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia. All those are micronations. What the United States is a macronation. It's a bigger state within states. Understand your government. That's why you got different rules. You got Alabama, you got Florida, you got New York, you got Texas. Those are micronations. And they all came together under one federal government. And that's all we are doing. We're just taking all these groups that are saying that B1 or fighting for our rights, and we want to bring it together so that we can be one nation. So right now, we would be, if we don't have the land, everything that's inside the United States would be what we consider an enclave. An enclave is a nation within a nation that depends on the other nation's borders. The Vatican sits inside another country, but it's considered a separate country. So look up those words. If you want to separate, y'all yell separation, but then you going to create a group, and then you get in this group, and you get in an LLC that's owned by the United States. This is something you don't need permission. You just need to understand how to work it.
Facts. Question, Queen.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get our people to buy into this idea? You know, I'm just asking a question like an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
why should I join this group? You know,
This
what? Yeah, I mean, well, or this not a group. Well, I want to say a group. This empire. Like, what is the benefits for joining this empire?
The benefits is to get our freedom, to rule ourselves, to build our own schools on our land where we don't have the police and the U.S. government's say so. See, we're sitting ducks. I say stop the marching, because when you go to the streets belong to them. You got to understand, you were taught to play Monopoly. when you stop playing this monopoly game and say, hey, I'm throwing my pieces on their board and I'm separating, they can go over here. When it's time to grow food, let them and the USDA deal with it, because they let all kinds of poisonous come in anyway. If we have our own village, think of the reservations and the Indians. We do whatever we want. We make our rules in our own spaces. Just like you have the Chinese government over here and they have their own police stations. That is foreign entities. So we would be having dual citizenship. We have our empire and then we have our American citizenship. Now, a lot of people want to denounce the American citizenship. That's your choice. But what you got to do is understand international law. Stop thinking as a group. Stop making groups under the U.S. that they own it. Anytime you get an LLC, it's under the U.S. It's under the United States. But the problem is that we don't think internationally. They got us thinking like slaves.
Question, Queen. Another question. So I'm just asking the questions. I'm like I'm somebody else. I don't know what's going on. That they're gonna ask you, maybe, is this legal? Is it legal? Yes or no?
Yes, it's legal. If you research, it's legal. If your government becomes a tyranny government to you, then you have every right to claim your own statehood. We see it all the time when people say, I'm a sovereign citizen. Well, you need a sovereign army behind you, because when your little sovereign citizen self go by yourself, they lynching you and hanging you and stealing your food. As empire together, it don't matter what tribe you from, what you're doing. If you looking at freedom, we're not trying to tell you to come under our rules. We're just trying to tell you, bring your flag to the table, just like the United Nations.
Can't hold up in court. If you had to go to court, just say
there's no court that they can take you to.
Okay, gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? We write, what we do is start. You don't worry about the U.S. government. The only thing you send the U.S. government is notice, just like they send you notice when they about to kick you out your house or they about to fire you. You send them a notice and say, this dwelling in my house is foreign entity. Your police are not allowed, but there are steps that you got to go through, and that's what we're here to teach. So when you're signing out, when you signing up, it's paperwork that you have to go through to make yourself a foreign entity, and the police and the government knows this.
What is that called when other, like, say, a foreigner, like somebody might come from like Africa or Europe, and it's called immunity. You can't touch them because you on their soil.
That's right.
Yeah. What is
diplomatic
that called?
immunity?
Yeah. So it's something like that.
Yes, you're claiming your own statehood. We will write the United Nations where all the states come, whether they recognize you or not. We are already considered a micronation with our space being digital. Now that everything is digital, we have a country that's online. It's digital. Once you signed up, you're the United Empires of Akiblon. You're saying that you're American citizen, but you're also a citizen of the United Empires of Akiblon, or your country is part of the United Empires of Akiblon, and that's why it's the United Empires. You just give your state and police notice. There's a way to do this where they take away your driver's license. There's a way for you to drive and travel without having to have a driver's license.
Queen, let me throw something out real quick. Say, for the sake of saying, that the United Empire of Akiblon bought 20 acres in Mississippi, and we have claimed those 20 acres for the United Empire, and people move on to there, and we are moving about trading and whatnot, and then somebody else buys another 20 adjacent to that gets annexed into that part. Now you've got 40. And you continue to build that way. Is that somewhere along the lines of what you're talking about?
Yes and no. The thing is, whether you got 1 acre, the problem that you're doing, what you got to do is write in we would have to, the paperwork is complicated, and I'm getting counseling on that. But what you would have to do is send in your paperwork to your city, the state, the governors, the police, everybody that needs to be notified. Then you have your sign out. Then you put up your fences. And now this is my foreign territory. You write the United Nations, because just like the United States is protecting Ukraine, it doesn't mean once everybody knows who we are, other states and other countries can also offer us protection. That's what the U.S. doesn't want us to know. So you can get 20 acres. The more acres we get, the more we put them under the empire to say this is foreign land. You cannot touch a foreign citizen, a foreign person. Then that's when you start giving up your birth certificate and going sovereign because you have a country to go to. We have a bunch of people doing it backwards because you're getting sovereignty, but you don't have a country to go to.
Right.
So when the whole point is land, and then we do it together. When the United Nations see influx of all types of letters saying everybody is under this one nation, that's how they have been tricking us not to get reparations.
Right.
So you get that 20 acres and you claim that. You get another 20 acres and claim that. You see the United States do it over there in Saudi Arabia and all them all the time. That's how they've been ruling with that international law. Oh, you are tyranny to your people. Let's go in here and kill them and get rid of them because they're not a good to their government. Well, the United States falls in that category too. So while we got BRICS and all that, we need to be self-proclaiming. We're already a self-proclaimed micronation. We just need to put the paperwork together. Even your car can go under the micronation. But there's, like I said, there's tedious paperwork. And Mr. P, you know, me and you were talking about that.
Yes,
it's tedious paperwork that you need to do it. And don't worry if you have Social Security and retirement, because there's ways that you still get your money. Just like the Chinese come over here and work and they get paid, you can still get paid for what you work into the United States.
I have a question.
Okay.
Does the land you purchase and that you own, does it need to be adjacent to all other land that you own?
Not necessarily at all.
No, not necessarily. See, the problem is they realized that people were doing micronations, so they started taking up all the land. That's why you got Jeff Bezos and all them, Bill Gates, everybody's trying to buy up the land. Well, it does. If it's not adjacent, it's just territories, just like you got Virgin Islands in Puerto Rico. And that's how I figured we would be. If you and all of us right now, all of us on the screen, if we all owned our houses, we got 6 little small countries that's under the United Empires. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
This would stop a lot of that no-knock warrant. For every rule they made, it's an international rule that can protect us, but that's what we don't know because we're too busy forming groups, arguing with these people and telling them, treat us right. The system wasn't made to treat you right.
Now, one more question. I know we got to move on. Okay, so property tax. How can you avoid that?
That's what your micronation is now. Now the thing is, this is not going to go smooth. That's why we need our military and everything. The U.S. is nasty. There was another micronation here. The old man died. He fought them. He never paid his taxes because he said this was not their country.
He was right.
It was right there it was right in Nevada or up in that area where he had it. And so we got to look it up. So with us, with common sense, the U.S. is nothing but about money. So we already said any land we get, we'll pay the taxes because you want to stop every way that they play dirty. They don't even they make rules and don't follow their own rules.
Right,
exactly.
That's a fact. And before we move forward, I want to address, if you could, one of the elephants in the room that we've had to deal with. There's a hesitation to join/enlist because of the Kebulon and the title, which is mostly coming from people who want to separate from the diaspora. What is our answer to that, and as to why militarily that's not a logical pathway to take?
It's not a logical pathway to take because back to what you're saying. A lot of people that I dealt with on TikTok and a lot of people that I dealt with around that's claiming that they were the original natives, which I am one of those. My family always told us we were from here. And if we look back, our great-grandparents, there was no stories passed down to us about Africa. But the problem is a lot of people are mad because they always find a way to keep us divided. If we say Africa is the motherland, a lot of people don't believe it. But if we say Africa is the motherland, the name shouldn't bother you. A lot of the Native American black people who are claiming, or melanated people who are claiming Native American or original of this continent, because the Native American is a trickery word too. They don't want anything to do with Africa because they say they want to separate. But like we said, that's a trick. Because if everything was Pangea, one continent, whether we all broke away or whatever, we were all traveling and we knew who we were, cousins, different tribes and stuff like that. So it's dangerous to separate when we need them same African countries to be our ally.
Thank you.
So,
and you know, I did sum it like this.
You gonna start some stuff?
I did sum it up like this in that conversation. So I don't dispute if you have the receipts to say you originated here and dot. We're not going to dispute that. But the bottom line is, you are still melanated, therefore you are considered a Negro, aka an enemy of this country that you are in. You're behind enemy lines. So you have to do the math on that, the realistic math, not the emotional math or the fantasy land math. You have to do the realistic military math and say, hey, even if this was my ancestors' land, those who inhabit this land now and those who speak a certain language in some of the lands that we're saying this applies to are not going to give you, they're not going to give a pickaninny a penny. So your best bet militarily is to align yourself with the diaspora, because they already have existing armies. If they're willing to come to the table and be an ally with you and help you, I mean, that's one of the missing pieces, in my opinion, for reparations, is dialogue with the diaspora to say, hey, how can we sit down and help each other out to get this thing done? Because if you think of it, if you get reparations here, does not the United States and Europe, aka Britain, owe the African countries that they also affected with this?
Exactly.
Question. Are we going? Well, you know, I'm here. I'm trying to get on the task force here in Georgia. I actually was in a meeting, so I guess I can bring that up. So this thing gonna take a lot, y'all, because here they talking. Okay, they just getting the task force together. They kind of mimicking out in California, pretty much. They try to go for the $250,000 thing. Yeah, $250,000. You know, for descendants of slaves, and I'm all for it. It's a good conversation, but the crazy part about it is, I don't know if they're doing the same thing in Cali. To do the survey, you gotta have like 20 grand, and they just getting it started. So you gotta get the money. It always boils down to the money. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
can
wow.
I say this? Can I say this? This is why we brought the United Empires of Kevlar, because we trumping all that. If they want to do a survey and pay America with no money, because America dollar ain't worth nothing after this Brits and all this.
Yeah,
they want us to keep playing this, as I keep saying. Realize when you're throwing the dice on the Monopoly game.
And they want us to get frustrated. But I will say this: this thing.
But the problem is, ain't no group gonna get no reparations. They might, they might, but the problem is, what is the problem? We always saying, they claim they don't know who to give the reparations to, because they claim that black. That's why the name black is a problem, because black is not a nationality. It's a social construct. It's
why you got FBA.
But they're a group who FBA ain't even organized who gets how much reparations.
They say it's not a group, it's a lineage. That's what they say.
Yeah, but well, either which way, they can come in and we can work together and make it a nation, just like everybody is under.
Well, you know what they'll do. What they'll do is this.
I ain't got time for the BS, because the thing is like this. Everybody wants to be the popular famous group that, not trying to be funny, the whites will give reparations to. We need to be a country and demand you owe us this, but we cannot do it if your group is over there talking about my group and that group. That's the whole point. We build the table of a Kevlar, bring your flag, and let's go in as a nation and say you owe all of us.
Exactly.
Queen, if somebody was listening and somebody was involved and they were saying, that is really something I want to get involved with, where would they go online to get involved with the United Empire of Akibulan?
And if somebody could put it in the chat, they would go to www.theunitedempiresofakibulon.com. We have a lot of people that subscribe, but we need y'all to pay your dues if we're going to buy a country, if we're going to buy some land, if we're going to buy something that we can build our own schools, our own communities on, because we don't have no communities if you listen to the first part of this show. or this event, we're going to have to be where we can control who and what our kids listen to. Everything. So when you subscribe, put in the comments. We had a lot of people before we got the website that emailed us, and we're going back. But if you're listening or if you subscribe before, put in the comment, what can you bring to the table? Do you know how to hammer? Do you know about herbs? What do you do? The whole point of this is not saying potluck, but it is potluck because we all scattered. When I saw the vision, I looked at us, we're all scattered. So how do we get the strength? How do I get you to come over here and teach me what you know? How do I get you to come over here? How do we get together and make our potluck?
Exactly. There's no iron team, y'all. No iron team. Right. And we understand this. Y'all know I talked about this when we first got started. It's gonna be a 5 to 10 year, even 15-year plan, but we gotta be consistent, y'all. One thing about our people, a lot of us are not consistent. We start off with something like, oh, it sounds good, and we started kind of losing interest. I see it a whole lot dealing with different organizations and stuff.
But for those of you who are out there listening, we have a structure. When we brought up that whole United Nations thing, we have a structure that is very similar to what it is. There is a collective, there is a council of elders, there's a trustee board, there is a section. We have a section for whatever it is, a protectorate. Wherever it is that you have something that you want to get involved with this, you come get in where you fit in. We have something for you, but we can't use you until you come to the table.
Just like Warrior. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, King.
No, you good. You're good.
Just like Warrior said, he has the 40 days of the service. Like I guess he was talking about the lawyers. We need that. Because whatever paperwork we do, we need somebody that's experienced in reading legal genre so that they can go over it. It's like we need to stop expecting one person to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I just had the vision.
No, I'm playing.
And we but
I'm gonna mute myself.
But I love it because I want confident people to come, because if FBA say it's a lineage, FBA come to the table. What paperwork do you have that we can add to the paperwork? We are a jigsaw puzzle, and we need to put this puzzle together. You are a piece. You are a piece. You are a piece. Your group is a piece. Everybody is important. We've been played to think you need to have your group more popular, your group getting money. If we start thinking like D-May said, this is going to maybe take years, maybe it won't. But it's going to be a process, because we have to reprogram what we said in the first part, our minds. You got to accept that, just like D-May's asked the question, this is not illegal. This is what they stopped Martin Luther King and Malcolm X from coming together to do.
This is what they wanted. This is exactly what Marcus Garvey, what Malcolm X, and for people who don't know, Martin Luther King at the end of his life, it's what they were all talking about.
Yes.
All of them. They want to all come to the table and do this together. Whatever your faith is, wherever you live in this country, whether you wealthy or poor, whatever it is, as long as us as this Black collective, African American collective, whatever the hell you want to call us, as long as you get that it's this group that we're trying to work together to build up, come to the table and bring what you got.
Exactly.
And look, and people in here that follow me, they know my favorite words. Some of us ain't gonna make it. I can live with that. It is what it is. So you gotta be real with yourself. All Black people's not gonna. We've never been a monolith. I can accept that, but the thing is, we got to stop all this diaspora war crap, because it's not good and it's sending us back. I see it. I see it on Clubhouse, Twitter Space. I see it fan base, YouTube. We got to stop it, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm gonna do a video on this. We look like a bunch of clowns up here calling each other out of that. You either with this clique, I'm with this clique. I mean,
can I say this? We need to think of international. We look at America send our people to war every day. What is happening? What is going on? They said that country government is a tyranny government. They're doing their citizens wrong. So now me and my people are going to come in with guns and stop you. from doing your citizens wrong. So why can't we have the same outcries? That's what we are. We getting together. We're writing. America does not like us. They have showed us for over 400 years they don't give a damn about us.
Yep. And you can see it even in South Africa. See,
South Africa done teamed up with Russia. That's what I was getting to. They
and
said they know who their friends is. We don't know who our friends or enemies are.
Yeah. And Julius Malema, he I'm telling you, if he come president, it's a different beast. He support us. He support Black Americans over here. So we do have support from our brothers and sisters over there. For some of y'all that be saying, "Oh, forget the Africans and all that," I'm like, y'all act like. I mean, let's be honest.
That might be.
We act like we got a lot of power in America. What Black people own in this country? They need to stop that.
But that's a trick. It's a.
I put it like this. Imagine that there's this big, gigantic mansion. This ranch, huge acreage, and all these wealthy people are on this acreage, and they're making all of these plans, and they're doing things for the people. Huh?
Black Wall Street. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm going somewhere with this. Bear with me. Big, huge, gigantic acreage with everybody doing their thing. And outside of the gates, you got about 10 broke, homeless, ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of people are all arguing about which one of them has the best mattress to sleep on in the street. And that's what it looks like to see all these Black groups arguing about who's gonna be the best, who's gonna be the most in charge group. Because none of us have anything. We are literally arguing over who can get the best seat on the Titanic. All of the arguing back and forth, whether it's about faith, whether it's about these groups, whether it's about whatever it is, it ain't got near none of us more generational wealth. It ain't got none of us control over the goods and the resources of our community. None of it. Most of us, when we were growing up and we went through our neighborhoods and we lived in these neighborhoods that almost no longer exist, the corner store was owned by a Black person. You probably were renting from a Black person. All of the shops in the neighborhood were by Black people. You don't have that no more. Even when it's a neighborhood that Black people sleep in. We don't need no more communities for us to sleep in. We need ownership and control, and we can't gain any of it while we all at each other's throat. And it is by design that we have been at each other's throat.
Can I say this? And we can't gain any of it with the permission of the United States. That's why the only way to go is to be a self-sufficient country. And there, if you go and look up what a micronation is, you need a flag. That's why we got that. You need a way to communicate with other countries. We got that. You need laws and rules. We got that.
Yep.
And the only thing we could do is add to it. If we're missing something, you come. There is not one group that's going to rule this, but there is many groups that can come to the table. And if you're leader of your group or your organization, that's who comes to the table. If it's a bunch of groups that are dealing with reparations, let all those groups come to the table. What are we missing? And let's put it on the nation. If there's a bunch of groups that's attorneys, come to the table. We need attorneys fighting lawsuits back and forth, suing people. We can't even get a Black person to sue nobody so we could get some money. Then when you get money, most of us get money, you want to go right back into the U.S. system to live like the wealthy who keep using you to keep up their lifestyle. We're not satisfied being on our, we don't know peace because we ain't had it in so long. Peace is being not having to worry about what I wear, how my hair looks, what my makeup looks, what my ass look like to impress this American society. We don't know peace. Peace to me is sitting on my land. I ain't got to worry about no pig with a blue uniform coming in, bothering me and my children. No knock warrants.
Talk about it.
I got to worry about the USDA coming in like, let me check on your food and giving me, taking away real food and giving me poison.
Exactly.
I ain't got to worry about paying a light bill to a light company when we got the damn sun. And
Thank
we just educate ourselves on solar energy.
You paying to live. That's crazy.
I ain't got to worry about nobody charging me for water and then poisoning me at the same time by putting it in the damn plastic bottles.
Yeah. You know what's amazing, Queen?
then we got a awareness group. Black women don't put your bottled waters in the car because it leads to breast cancer. You know, that freedom looks like all that BS. Let it stay over in America.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we the only so-called creatures, animals on the planet that got the pay to live. Birds, dogs, everybody can, all the other animals on the planet can do what they want. So
that's here in America. You don't do you ever see a homeless African? Do you see homeless Jamaicans? They might not be in the best condition, but they got somewhere to lay their head, right?
You're right. When I went to the Bahamas, they like you don't see no
That's a good point.
people out there. Yeah.
I mean,
because
they got us. Wait, we got another guest, Friday Jones. Do we got another guest in the house?
Oh, we do. Okay, cool. Bring him up.
Okay.
Friday Jones is Pablo's guest.
Grand Rising.
How you doing? How you doing? Peace.
You got him the second part of is Pablo there?
I think he's still on off the mic. I mean, off the camera.
Okay, we're gonna introduce Mrs. Friday Jones, but as I was saying, we look at being rich as in I get to wear the best designer clothes. I get to shame my sister. My body looks better. So, but you got a lot of women with nice body. I don't mind you can have a nice body, but where's your husband or where's your man? And now that or where's your woman? You know, because the men y'all get plastic surgery too. It just ain't popular yet. But
that's a whole nother topic.
Yes, but the thing is, we ain't got freedom.
It's in the grill. Y'all get it in the grill.
Yeah. Freedom means you get up and you don't have your government telling you how to live through white eyes. Mrs. Jones, I know Pablo is not here and I want to get you on. So can you introduce yourself to us?
Sure. I am Friday Jones. My name is Consa Jones Muhammad. I'm a modern day reparationist. I'm the president of the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants. I'm also a commissioner for the city of Los Angeles and the city of LA's vice chair for our local reparations task force, and I was appointed by former Mayor Garcetti. So I'm really glad to be here. Pablo is someone I've known in this space for a while, and he tries to keep me plugged in. So I'm really happy to be here with you all.
Thank you for coming.
We're so glad to have you here with us. I don't know if you got any part of the show or been listening in. And we're planning on doing this every month. This is the second part, so we hope to have you back. But go ahead and tell us some more about the initiatives that you're doing, or what we need to know.
There are a few. I wear a lot of hats. I'm going to start with the State Reparations Task Force, and I'm a member of an organization called the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. They worked with Dr. Shirley Weber to actually put some language and specificity into the state bill so that it's descendant based, and it's also based on free persons who are in the U.S. and the ancestors, if you will, that were in the U.S. Prior to 1900. And for those who are like tracking that, and I don't know, we all seem to have family in different places, but San Diego on the weekend of the 29th is working with one of the task force members, Monica Montgomery Stepp, to host a listening session Saturday, the 29th out in Riverside. And I think it's at their Civil Rights Museum. We, and when I say we, I mean the city of Los Angeles is also hosting our first live in session in person with people, not virtually. We've been doing a lot of this stuff virtually, but we're actually hosting our first live in person, and we want people to come out. So please come out. That is on Saturday, the 22nd at 11 a.m. At the California African American Museum over on Exposition across from USC. We've done 2 homecomings, and those have really been insightful, like to hear from people, hearing their stories. It's a lot of people here from the South, hearing the stories of people's parents and grandparents who came here for work. Some people, fleeing white terror down in our southern states. And so I'm really excited to have an opportunity to be out in front with the public. And then on the federal level, this is not exactly reparations, but to me, all things seem to be reparations. I don't know if you all have heard anything about the Office of Budget Management, but the Office of Budget Management is the part of our government that actually determines the standards for the census. So they set the standard for race and ethnicity in the country. They held 3 town halls. Actually, they held 4 town halls last month. 3 were for the public at large, and 1 was for indigenous nations. But the 3 that were held in public, one of the things that was very, very apparent was the fact that the descendant community, whether you refer to yourself as American freedmen, there are some people who refer to themselves in modern vernacular as foundational Black Americans or American descendants of slavery, that population called in. And that population is like 90% of Black folks in all of the United States. So it was really good to see us activated and saying what we wanted. There were some people who, say they don't have slavery in their background, but they fit that freed people category that were in the U.S., going back before 1865. It was important, I think, for our government to hear that we want our own specificity. We respect and love our diaspora brothers and sisters. A lot of us have mixed heritage, so we recognize the different parts of self. And it's important for people to be able to feel like their story, collective stories, collective movements like the Great Migration, collective, what was it? I want to say the Black Summer, which was the summer of terrorism in the early 1900s.
The Red Summer.
Red Summer. Thank you. Thank you. Some of us have land loss. We went from 15 million acres at the turn of the century down to practically 0. And so these are common experiences through this Black American experience. And I was very proud to see so many people who could reconcile our history with our family's history and stand up and say, this is what we want. And so the OMB has taken public comments, and I will drop the link into your chat so you can share it out with people. But this is the time to share your stories with the OMB. This is the time to say, look, we are the descendants. We are the dream that Dr. Martin Luther King talked about. We are them people. And it's important for us to let our government know we want our own classification that's not sort of codified in white supremacy as we know it. We've gone through different ideations. We've been colored, mulatto, quadroons, Negroes, Black folks, African American. There's been all of this sort of turmoil with us. And it's at this point that we say, you don't get to name us, we get to name ourselves. So I really would encourage the audience, get your family, get your church friends, get your sorority brothers and sisters, get those fraternal organizations and any unions, that are Black unions that folks might belong to, get them involved and on this campaign, because they extended the time for the public to respond through April 27th. And we really want people to show up and show out for public comment in that space.
We love that. Do you know that that's what we're here as, the United Empires of Akibalon? Basically, what you're saying, we just took it. We consider ourselves a nation within a nation. That's why we named it the United Empire. So we would love to get on board with you and let you be a part of what you're doing, because we are basically trying to govern ourselves and with different parts. Like you would be in the reparations part if y'all doing that. And so we would love for to work with you and join, because you're basically saying the same thing we're saying. We're all separated, but we all have to come together. And we just took it as an international way of being a self-proclaimed nation within a nation, so that we can get that government status. So if we're willing to work together, we can work together to see how we can do this as one.
I want to ask a question. Y'all I'm here in Georgia. We just started the task force here in Fulton County. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, somebody reached out to me about that, and I gave them some legislation that I helped put together in New York. New York is going to be coming out with the bill, and I, from my understanding, I'm curious to hear from you because you're down there on the ground. From my understanding, it was a conservative, what do you call those people? A GOP. You know, not a Democrat, but a Republican who seemed to have some interest in this. So I'm curious to know what you know.
I'm just hearing about that part. And if that's true, I hate to say it, that's kind of a good thing because they saying that they're not for it. But I have been on my TikTok and talked to some conservatives, and some of them are for reparations. They probably they don't want to pay out their own pockets. They busy saying.
Don't mean to cut y'all off. I was gonna say this. Don't mean to cut y'all off. And I want you to think about this, Miss Friday Jones. I feel like we need 2 reparations because we talk about slavery. That was one part. But what about after slavery when they destroyed everything we built after slavery? See, they want to do reparations and say, well, were you from Africa? And they do all this complication to prove you're from Africa. Okay, what about the Africans that came after? What about everybody that came after that could have been part of Black Wall Street, Rosewood?
Exactly.
So,
Lanier Park, you know, all these.
Yeah. I hear you, and there are tiers, and I'm going to be very transparent. The organization that I represent is descendant based, so we really are focused on repairing what wasn't repaired during Reconstruction here in this country with American freedmen. But yes, there are absolutely layers to this. Slavery and what I would consider like the lack of compensation is very specific to American freedmen. And I think you go up to about 1968, because that is the time where we had the second round of civil rights legislations here at the federal level. And that is also in 1971-ish is when you had the Black Caucus actually pushing the United States to open its borders, because even our immigration policies were very racist. So you don't really see an influx of different people, whether it's Caribbean or African people, until after that second round of civil rights in 1968. And then you see the push in 1970. So really, if you have a parent or grandparent, you know, born in the United States prior to that time, for the most part, they're going to be part of that larger population that experience the things that you're talking about in the second wave, whether it was white terrorism, redlining. We know we're seeing so much about the Black farmers and historically what has happened to them through the Pickford case and the fact that it basically failed. And now you have the farmers suing Biden himself because he told these farmers this was going to happen. But the white nationalists and conservatives, you know, they took it to court. And this is a conservative Supreme Court, and race-based policy, unfortunately, is not going to work. Which is also why we really try to stay focused on the harmed parties and the injured class, and not necessarily going back to Africa, because they kept crappy records. You know, you kept crappy records. That's on you.
That's what I was going to say. How do we draw the line? Because
we draw a line with time. We draw a line with time. We know that we basically, Black folks here, and we, you know, the California Reparations Task Force has been very informative because they brought genealogists in, and they brought the genealogists in for the sole purpose of making sure that by their definitions, we could say, well, how do we say someone was either enslaved in this country or a free person? And based on different timelines, we know we really kind of show up in Americanized paperwork in 1890. But if you on there on 1890, you pretty much were here. You are, whether you call yourself foundational Black American, whether you were a free person, you were here and you endured the terrors that you're talking about.
And I want to say this too, going back to the Georgia Task Force, Reparation Task Force. We had a meeting probably like maybe a month ago, and they try to get politicians involved. I'm pretty sure y'all got politicians involved too. But it's a sister that's running for president, and she's a reparationist like heavy. So you know, we got people on board like that, and they're gonna have a first town hall. They're trying to work, I think, next month, and I'll keep y'all posted on that. So we doing our thing here, and I'll let you know what's going on. I found out too about who that conservative person supposed to be.
I'm curious to know whether or not that was some truth, or whether somebody was just pulling my leg. But even if they were not,
but we're gonna need both parties anyway, correct? We're gonna need both parties. So we're gonna need both parties to come together when they come down to vote anyway, right? So
we are gonna need. We're gonna.
Can I ask you this?
Is a nonpartisan issue, yes, sir.
Can I ask you this? How, well, not like now, but do you think it's feasible to create a super PAC when you?
Yeah,
we talked about that.
Yes, I do, and yes. I talk to funders. I go into white spaces. It's interesting. People automatically go to indigenous nations, and I'm like, yeah, I can speak from that experience too, because I have that in my ancestry, and I'm somewhat familiar with the process that they went through, and there is racism there too. Yes. The 5 civilized tribes are the tribes who actually fought on the side of the Confederates against the Union.
Yep.
And so, you know, we have to not be open and susceptible to white folks' interpretation of what reparations means and where we fit on a line, even when it comes to our indigenous brothers and sisters. But I say all of that to just say that this is our time. There's been no time in our history where the numbers, you know, are what they are. To actually see, this week I saw 2 conservative papers actually coming out in this OMB discussion about whether or not the descendants should have, you know, some sort of special designation on the census for themselves. I was surprised by that, but people know the real history of this country. These people know the truth. And you said, brother, you said something about they worried about paying for it. You pay your taxes right now, and I don't think your tax is going to change that much. It's just where the U.S. government spends their money is going to change. But what happens in your day-to-day life is really not going to change that much.
With them knowing the history, Queen, with them knowing all the stuff, with everything that you said, with this being the time right now, the best time ever, what is the possible argument that they give against the reparation thing?
Oh, it's the most obvious one. No one alive today was a slave. Well, now that's debatable, right? Because we got these corporations that were around, and if you're going to tell me a corporation is a person, I'm going to debate that point. A lot of the largest foundations in this country, whether it's Cargill provides eggs to what's the people with the 2 M's? McDonald's.
Right.
And Cargill is one of the largest foundations in this country. That farm was established during slavery. So you can't argue with me that people ain't around, because the companies are around.
If they're using the slave argument though, and me and Mind Games talked about this before, how I throw that argument out about where I'm about to go. What do they do with that time period between 1877, when Reconstruction ends, and 1968, where that second round of civil rights kicks in? What do they do with that almost 100-year period of all of the oppression that goes? Where does that argument go?
So that argument transitions into, my family came here after slavery. We got here in 1930. We got here in 1950. I don't think my family's responsible for that. Ma'am, sir, did you work in the Levittown? Unions typically follow races of people, whether you are Italian, Irish, right? That's where the unions follow. What union was your grandfather in, ma'am, sir? Like, if you're going to have a conversation with me, I need you to have a higher level conversation, other than you don't want it coming out of your pocket, because the United States sends money, causes trouble, and sends money around the world for the trouble it causes. And I don't really see no protests of all these
in the sum of hundreds of billions, in the sum of hundreds of billions.
Right. Absolutely. So those are the 2 things that we usually see. Even, you know, no one's alive that was a slave. Yet I met one at the reparations task force, the bishop.
Right.
I forget what Bishop's last name is, but he was held in slavery after slavery ended and wants to take people down to where the bones of others are buried that no one's talking about. So I can debunk either one of those arguments any day of the week.
I thought you would.
And this is why we're building. This is why we created the United Empires of Akivalon, because we want to bring everybody to the table that wants to be under the new nation. We don't really want to be under the American flag, but we are under the American flag. But we also are a group of people who know who we are, and we're fighting for our rights, whether it be reparations, land, freedom, education, health. That's where we at, and we hope to work with you more.
And you came in right on time.
Thank you all
came
so
in
much.
right on time.
I know, and you
you
guys
came
are
right on
trying to
time.
go. If this is a
Jules.
once a month sit down, I'm happy to pop in here to give you guys the updates, what I know, what's happening locally, what's happening nationally, just to make sure that the people are informed.
Thank you.
We would love it.
How
We
long?
would love it.
Do you think we need committees in every? Well, I'm sure you're gonna say yes, but do you think we need like reparation committees in every major city?
No,
Yes.
this is an execution of Cam Howard's. He wrote a pamphlet, and I'll get the title of the pamphlet. I don't think I can multitask. It's in my drive, but this pamphlet was written in the 90s, and it was part of N'COBRA's ideology to get a bunch of municipal actions in order to push for the federal repair. But I think now that the people are engaged enough, I don't think that we need all these municipal actions. I don't think Evanston was the best. I don't even know why they're calling it reparations. It's a housing voucher program where the money doesn't go to the people, it goes to the banks.
Gotcha.
Actually, it goes to a holding company that distributes the money for either repairs or refinancing of some kind to a bank. So
Wow.
that to me is not reparations. That's not a blueprint for the nation, just because it was like the first municipal action. And even though I sit on the city of Los Angeles, the commissioners that sit with me in that capacity are also very aware that reparations is very specific, and the UN has set standards for it. And so it's not okay to have these municipal actions and try to dress them up as reparations, because many of them are not.
Can I say this? You said the key word, and that's what we are as the United Empires of Akivalon. We're basically the melanated UN. So if you know the rights of the UN, we want to get everybody together so we can write the UN saying, hey, all of us, whether group, church, politician, whatever, we all believe the same thing, and we all claim a state within a state because of what America has done to all of us.
Exactly.
I'm with it. I'm happy to be here. You guys, Pablo has my contact information.
Yes, thank you.
I will make sure that you all can be and stay in touch. And if this is a monthly touchdown, let's do it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let's build.
So we plan on we talked about starting a super PAC through the Empire. So we will be in touch.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you for having me. You guys
Truly
look
appreciate
amazing.
you,
Happy
Queen.
Sunday
Truly appreciate
or
it.
Easter.
Yeah.
We thank you. We thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sister. Yeah.
Thank you, Queen.
Be blessed.
Everybody, make sure you follow this Queen. We got her stuff all in the chat. All
No
of us
doubt.
were all over the place, so we got her stuff in the chat. So definitely follow. We got everybody's information in the chat. So we had a good time. I've had a good time. I hope everyone had an awesome time. I hope everyone felt empowered. Okay, it was not about being entertained. We were here to empower one another, empower you all. So please like and share. We've been here 3 hours, 3 powerful hours. And we're gonna do it again next month. So thank you for spending time with us. I know you probably missed a couple shows, couple reruns, but
It's more important.
We boots on the ground here. So thank you so much.
All right,
Be
y'all.
blessed.
Peace.
Yes.
Sign up.
Nice.
Get involved.
Yes. www.theunitedempiresofAkivalon.com. Sign up.
And don't forget about Break the Bank, because that's who we're going
Yes.
after. That's what I meant to
Yes.
ask her and tell her. The banks hold the key to everything that we're doing.
Exactly.
And follow us on the radio show. We have a morning radio show. We're going to be putting out more episodes. It's in the chat. Good morning, Africa Town from LA. From LA.
Yep.
Y'all have a great day.
The links are in the chat.
All right. Peace, everyone.